go.
A ham for pictures.
Well, this is just video, so you guys just have to keep talking about whatever you were talking about.
Well, we were talking
wait, I think
about
Barnaby's
dams.
buzzing.
Later that same day after the yacht had sailed.
Yeah.
Are you
Lauralynn, before she met Barnaby, this is the last time that you'll see her the way she is. And then this will be after meeting Barnaby.
And what a set of pegs.
No, what a set of gams. I mean, it's the gams, yeah. I think it's the heels that really make this truly memorable.
They do.
And
They do.
the gams are, Betty Grable had nothing on these gams. Look at the lines of those and the curves and perfectly formed. Just
I was
beautiful.
gonna write a catalog essay.
I will. That's all I do. Is write
Catalog essay on my
It's just
gams.
Perfection. No, if that isn't perfection,
No, there's no quite, I'm not, you know, it's,
but every
You have great
detail.
legs.
it's
Why,
wonderful.
thank
so
you.
gorgeous.
Wonderful.
And she's about to meet Barnaby Ruhe, which I think is going to be a momentous occasion.
You guys haven't met?
She's never
No.
met Barnaby.
I don't know
No.
Barnaby.
This is a Barnaby. She's
I have
gonna be-
spoken with him on the phone today.
She's going to be Barnaby.
Oh, I'm about to. Oh, wait, here. Is this Barnaby? Here, so we.
Tell me one of your own.
Hello, Barnaby.
Somebody.
How are you? Great to see you. Yeah, we're drinking.
Would you like, what can I get for you?
Very
We can go if you need to go. We can.
Well, I think we have about that much time.
Yeah,
However much
this
time
much time,
that
Barnaby.
is.
Then I need that much scotch.
Yeah.
Oh, Scotch. Wow. You and Jim.
Put it on the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's do
no.
another.
Jim, I
Yeah,
picked it
another
up.
one.
I have it.
Oh,
I was
leave it to Emily.
Okay.
Emily will save the day every time.
Excellent.
She knows.
Don't build me up
Emily
too much
is.
But
fun.
Emily wasn't at McSorley's.
Yes.
Yes, I was.
Oh, were you?
Come on.
How much did you have to drink, Jim?
That was
Not
the amazing woman to your.
Oh, that's right. Oh. Oh my God. This is good scotch.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I should have.
But you may have to
Reminded you of
speak
that.
tonight at the movie.
What's that?
James, I mean,
Well,
Did you
I-
prepare
there-
anything?
There are two phrases that over the period of 50 or 60 years that I grew up,
That's too much.
amongst many other
Oh
things,
my God.
You don't have
got
to drink it.
etched
Yeah.
into my mind.
okay.
And one of them was
What's that?
an interlocutory, cheers, one was an interlocutory phrase in a silent movie where they're showing film and then it goes
Yeah.
to black and there's a
Right.
phrase there and then.
Fade
and
to
it-
black.
Yeah,
Fade to
and
black.
it fade to black and it says, later that same day after the yacht had sailed. And that's one that's burned into my mind. And the other one was a cartoon in the Collier's magazine back in the 1930s. And it shows a guy and a girl in a canoe in a tropical lagoon, palm trees and moonlight, and he says, "Marry me, Gwendolyn, and I will take you away from all this."
Barnaby, I love your shoes.
Oh, they're
Look at his shoes.
Oh, these look almost as comfortable as
Zoom in
mine.
on the shoes.
All right, zooming on the
leak.
shoes.
They leak, they got air holes.
I know.
I had a Murakami in Peru who really wanted these shoes.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I shot films down in South America, and
Yeah.
I had film crews that literally would not let me go back to the United States until I sold them certain things that I
Your
had.
blue jeans.
Yeah, and my gaffer, things out of my gaffer kit.
Yeah.
Really?
Of course.
Yeah.
You can't have it.
Yeah.
Well, James, you're sitting with the star of Pollock Squared, Barnaby Ruhe, who played Jackson Pollock in the film Pollock Squared that had one of its premieres at the Allentown Art Museum.
It's a famous
And-
movie in mostly in not cut.
I know,
A lot of it's gonna cut. Some of it's cut.
but it's a brilliant
16
film.
millimeter film?
No, I think it's mostly
Video?
I think it's lots of video.
Video.
5 years of video.
And he filmed it in East Hampton and in Connecticut and in, I don't know, Connecticut,
everywhere.
Pennsylvania.
Well, you see, you took 5 years to do that film.
Yours guys took 3 days.
We took one night.
One night's good. By the way,
Six.
Portrait of Jason was
That's how I
done in
shoot
one
films.
night?
Huh?
Yes, one booze filled night.
Yes.
I read it in Metro. I read it in New York Times. I read it in Village Voice.
Is that
My
right?
God.
Is it in all these things?
Yeah,
No?
No.
Because James isn't aware of that.
I'm not
He
aware.
didn't even know.
Is that
it
you
was in
singing the
there.
Village Voice?
No, I would like to see
Stop doing
it.
that.
Allison mentioned it, Jim. That's what I was saying. She's getting
Huh?
a copy. Allison has a copy for
Oh, that's
you.
fantastic.
Oh, New York Times, Village Voice.
Wow,
So they-
National Public Radio yesterday.
This.
After I got off the phone with you, I turned, National Public Radio was upstairs.
And it was right there,
It
boom.
was talking about the bill.
Amazing, amazing. Well, you know, one evening, 2 days before the shoot, my dear friend, Yari Sapana, called up. A guy, a cameraman, an astute cameraman that I dearly loved to work with. I either did sound or assistant camera for him. Called up and said, "You up for an all-night shoot?" Well, I'd never done an all-night shoot before, but I said, "Yeah."
You had 1 day's notice? to
I
do
love
this?
that, I love that. This song gonna work from now on.
One of the greatest films
Absolutely.
of the
So-
20th century. You had one night.
So we went there.
That's the best way to go. He knows he's free that night because, you know.
So I went
This
there,
is
we
chicken
started,
fingers.
we started filming, and actually, I believe I'm responsible for the fact that the film was completed. Because about 2:30 in the afternoon, I mean in the evening, 2:30 in the
Middle of
morning.
night, yeah.
in the middle of the night, Yuri's eclair clicked out, conked out,
Wow.
dead. Couldn't get it, I couldn't get it going. And I'm pretty good with cameras, but I could not get that son of a bitch going. And so, here we are, all the rental houses are closed at 2:30 in the morning, you know. And the only thing I could think of was that Adam Gifford, who was a pretty well-known British documentary filmmaker who was living on 20th Street, I had just come back from Labrador doing a film in the far north with him.
Now come on, it's like this,
Yeah,
the segue is like too much.
No, it was like Nanook of the
And so I
North.
said,
Nanook of the
I
North.
said, do I have the guts to call him at 2:30 in the morning? I'm not that good a friend of his. I mean, we worked well together, but
Some
we
people
weren't
get very,
buddies.
some people get very annoyed at that.
I know. So I called him up and I apologized. Adam, I'm sorry, but there's a situation here. Could we rent your 16mm sound camera? Now, if there had been any other option, I would not have rented that camera because he had a retro, I forget what they call it now, what the name of the guy, but the guy who reviewed the film knew the name of it was an English 16mm sound camera, ran film very, very well. But
Steadicam?
no,
Before
Steadicam
that.
is not a camera.
No, I meant
Uh,
technique.
But this was years before that, and the Germans were the ones that did it, but no one at that time had perfected a system where you could look through the lens while you were filming. This camera had a view tube that went out and looked through the lens in front of the lens. So that was pretty good, except that you never could really tell for sure if you had sharp focus or if a film piece of film slipped into the shutter. You couldn't see that because you were looking ahead of the shutter. But that was the best camera we could get, and so we went down there at 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, and woke Adam up and got his camera and went back and resumed shooting.
Wow. In the middle of the
Jason.
night, yeah. That's amazing. And Shirley Clarke was cracking
Shirley-
the whip.
Shir-
Was she
Shirley-
cracking the whip on you all this time? Was she a
Well,
taskmaster?
she was a taskmaster that realized that if she cracked that whip too hard, she was gonna lose.
Really?
Ah, that's right.
But she was a tough
But
lady.
she was a tough lady.
And she wasn't worried about you, she was worried about Jason flipping on her.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, she was concentrating on
But,
Jason.
I mean, yeah, so she had to keep him emoliated,
Oh, yeah.
and Booze did it.
Was he drinking that?
Emoliate. Oh, here we go.
He was drinking during the shoot?
Check your
All the way from beginning to end.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, he's got a bottle in his hand, almost all, or a glass
Yeah.
in his hand through almost the entire film.
Oh, yes.
Amazing.
Later that same night, after the yacht had sailed,
Oh. That's amazing. Well, here we are, how many years later? 67
Yeah, my
to
God.
13? I don't even
It
know.
must be 40.
45.
Is it
I
45?
think it's I like 47 or something.
Here we are,
like that.
47 years later.
Yeah, 47 years later.
Yeah, amazing.
That's a lifetime.
You're still here.
It's my lifetime.
She is 47.
No, I'm 43.
40, okay,
So it's not quite your
Look at
lifetime.
me.
Very good.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
thank
pretty
you.
good. No, she certainly
I
doesn't
would have
look at
gotten you like about
I mean-
37.
Oh, thank you.
Barnaby.
She certainly doesn't look. She certainly
I'm
looks like
43.
doesn't look like
Barnaby.
she's been into my
Those
thumb.
gams.
I'm telling you, I got that.
He knows what I
I
do.
never saw them, I swear. I swear, I never
You
stared.
didn't even notice him.
Never, I swear, never was staring. Never glared.
All right, should we?
I think we have.
We need to, I
Yeah.
think. Okay,
We're
okay.
getting to the witching hour.
So what's it like, Jim?
Huh?
What's it like being in the theater here?
Unbelievable. Here I am in a normal peanut gallery theater where there's chewing gum on the floor and popcorn's popping all over the place. And it's going to be a normal evening, but I can't imagine what it's going to hold for me, or if anybody is going to ask me to do anything, and I'm not going to volunteer. But it was an unusual night back in 1967 when this occurred, but I had no idea as to what was going to become from it. So tonight we'll see. He's doing right now.
You're awesome.
Soothing people as they come in, and then coming down to open the curtain or do whatever else has to be done.
Sorry, guys. Hi, good evening. My name is Harris Dew. I'm the program director here at IFC Theater, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you to the opening night of this fantastic new restoration of portrait of Jason Shirley. Excuse me. Before we get too far, I'd like to give a huge heartfelt thanks to Amy Heller and Dennis Doris at Milestone Films. They have been working tirelessly for years and years on this project, Shirley, to bring us Shirley Clarke's films in forms that look better than they ever have before. It's been a real labor of love, and the results are jaw-droppingly beautiful. This is the third film in of Shirley's that we've had the honor of presenting with them after The Connection and Ornette Made in America, and we're very proud to have done so. Tonight it gives me great pleasure because we have with us three people who were intimately involved with the making of Portrait of Jason. We have Shirley Clarke's daughter, Wendy Clarke, as well as Bob Fiore, who is Shirley's assistant on the project, and Jim Hubbard, who is the assistant. Please give them a hand.
So, yeah, Shirley was my mother. And basically, all I want to say right now is that I'm just so glad that you're here and that Dennis has restored this film. It took so much to get this to happen, so many years and negative being lost, so I'm just so grateful. You know. And I'm just also really happy that friends and family are here. This is like old home week. I know people here from my earliest, from when I was born till now. I mean, all the way through, we still stayed friends. So welcome to everybody. And we're going to talk. You can ask us questions afterwards.
It was actually through Wendy that I
called her mother to get a job as assistant editor on this film, not knowing what she wanted to do. And I was there the night that the filming happened. I'm not sure what Shirley wanted to do. Everybody seems to want to know. I don't. I think she had a clear idea, but she never said what it was. And I don't think it's clear in the film, actually. But she got it done. And she was a very good editor and made it all go together. So it worked out.
We have also one special surprise at the Elgin Theater, I believe.
Hi, my name is Tim Wardak, and my friend Yari Sakanen said, "Are you available for an all-night shoot?" I had never done an all-night shoot, but I said, yeah. And so we met at the Hotel Chelsea and began the project that Shirley launched. I think in a sense I'm responsible for seeing the film completed, because midway in the filming that night around 2:30 or so, Yuri's camera conked out. And 2:30 in the morning, where are you going to find a camera rental place or anything? And I, unfortunately, had just come back from Labrador doing a documentary up there with a friend named Adam Gifford, who lived on 20th Street, which was only about 6 blocks from the hotel. So with great hesitation, because we weren't really good friends, I called him up and said, Adam, excuse me, I'm very, very sorry, but this is a crisis. We're doing a film and the camera's down. Can we rent your camera? And after a lot of grumbling, he finally said yes. Now, the camera was a retro camera. It was an older camera. It ran film very good. And it had good lenses, but you could not see through the lens. They had not perfected that system where you can see through the lens while you're filming, as with the Aeroflex and the Oregon. You had a viewing tube that went out alongside the lens and then ducked into the lens, so you could look out of the lens and see and focus, but you didn't actually see. So if you caught a piece of film peeled off or something, if you had a problem with the shutter, you never knew it. So it was kind of hair-raising. But with that camera, we went through and finished the film.
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit about how that night progressed. And
you know, when you're working on a film like that and it's a two-man crew and everything's happened, it's like stacking babies in a wind tunnel. I mean, it's very hard to pay attention to what's going on outside. I'm loading magazines, emptying magazines, keeping the tape recorder going. So I don't really know what Shirley wanted Yari to do in many cases. There was a correspondence between them. I was simply telling them, there's one place where my voice comes on and I say, Yari, you've only got 70 feet and 2 empty magazines. So it's hard for me to say. I do know that there was a change when the two cameras, when one camera changed to the other, about feeling as safe with focus as they were in the first part of the time, as opposed to the second part time.
Wendy, were you involved in the editing of the film at all?
No, I wasn't. I was involved in setting up her apartment.
So this was the shoot was at Shirley's apartment.
Yeah,
and
it was at the Chelsea
Hotel. It was at one of the penthouses, right?
Yeah, on the roof.
On the roof, and 2 floors. Since this was her living room, essentially, on the ground floor. Was that a space that she normally used to do work in, or was it unusual for her to shoot there?
Well, it was the only film she ever made there, but later on, when we had the TV video space, when we were doing video, we used the whole roof in her apartment. So.
And what kind of setup was involved for this shoot? Was it you're using all her existing furniture?
Yeah, it was just mostly getting rid of things, emptying out to make it sort of cleaner. And I remember, I can see certain books that I remember, and I don't know if you noticed there was a skull. In all her films, there's a skull. That's like her image.
In terms of working with Jason, did they talk a lot about the film before they made it? Was it something that
this is Jason. I mean, I knew Jason. We all hung out. I remember going to parties and he would pull his poppers out. And this is just him. What he's always like. This is there was sort of actually nothing that unusual in a way in terms of if you knew Jason, this is him, you know, what he was like. And I think a really, you know, amazing chance for him, you know, to be able to have his life preserved and see now, he'd be really happy about it.
In terms of the like the actual shooting, was there? I mean, was it? The film wasn't really blocked out so much. It was just sort of he had a sort of a confined space that he was supposed to stay within.
Yeah, there was just, you know, it was just one part of the room, and then the camera, you know, was in the back. It was, in a sense, like a theater, like
1966, December. I forget which date exactly. December 3rd.
3rd.
And then
Thank you.
3 or 4. And then the film was shown for the first time publicly at the New York Film Festival. Is that right? Mm-hmm. About a year later. Yeah. And it's sort of a big hit at the festival. Do you think was it a surprise to you when you saw it and you saw the kind of audience reaction that it had? Was that where?
Well, I saw it then, and I'm sure there's some people here in the audience who saw it then. I imagine maybe there were, and it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it went on to have a life.
It's had a life throughout the years, you know. And I live in New Mexico now, and I get phone calls, you know, often when I lived in California, you get phone calls, and it's sort of requested, you know, often by film festivals that have a sort of gay orientation or showing movies, you know, on the subject of homosexuality, and so I think it's really a very important film of that world.
Bob, can you talk a little bit more about your role during the shoot?
During the shoot? I didn't really do much during the shoot. I had just started working for Shirley, and I worked as her assistant editor for several months. And assistant editing with film is pretty much a bookkeeping operation, where you have to try to figure out where everything that gets cut out, where it is, and how to get it if you need it in a hurry. And I think actually from what Dennis says, that I didn't actually work on the film to the end. I was, at that time I was 24 years old and going to film school at NYU. And I would work from when I could find a job to pay my way. And I think that's what I did. And I think I didn't work on it till the end. I do remember that, and it's not in the film, and I'm not sure whether it's been cut out or it wasn't ever really there, but that Shirley had some kind of, I don't know if the right word is animus, but some kind of, something that was propelling her to make this film. There was something she wanted Jason to confess to. And now seeing the film, it's Carl actually who takes over trying to push Jason. And I'm not sure what it was about. And Shirley never said, and I think whatever it was, Jason never confessed to. And it's not in the film, so it's hard to describe what the motivation for it was. For me personally, I, after, well, several years later, made a film, or worked on a film called Winter Soldier, that was also people talking directly to camera, and there's a little bit of extra footage, but it's pretty much the same kind of format as Jason. And I don't think I would have ever thought that a film could be done like that if I hadn't worked on Jason and learned from Shirley how to edit basically one person talking right to camera.
Thanks. We have time for some questions from the audience. All the way in the back in the corner.
Yeah, what did he think of the film? And also, did he ask that anything be edited out of it after it was shot?
I think everyone heard the question, but what did Jason think of the film, and did he ask for any changes to be made?
I mean, my recollection was that Jason loved the film. And he used to, you know, he stayed friendly with Shirley and Carl, you know, forever. And I used to run into him in the Village, and he was, in a bar. And, he seemed really proud of it, was my memory of it. And he would sort of bug Shirley for money, of course, every time he saw her. And she would give him money. So.
This question right here, please. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, just could you elaborate on who Carl is?
So
That dialogue at the end was kind of really mean coming from Carl's side and kind of breaks Jason down.
Sure. So could you explain a little bit more about who Carl was, what his relationship was to Jason, to Shirley, and and talk a little bit about the dialogue between them?
Carl and my mother had a relationship for 17 years, and he was in The Connection. He played cowboy. He was an actor in The Connection. That's where they met, and my sense of it is just knowing them, that this was kind of their banter. This is how they were with each other, and it seems abusive or shocking, but that was, I don't know, it just seemed like that was part of how they communicated, or my memory at least of the communication. So, it does seem, I remember, which is weird because I don't hear it in the film, but I remember my mother being really mean to him. But I don't know, it's difficult. I mean, it's not so difficult anymore because I've seen it a number of times, but the first time I saw it, it really upset me, how mean Carl was. And, but I think they were really trying to push him, and I think Bob is right about saying something about being truthful, and he was just incapable of whatever that meant to him.
How much footage was there total? Like how many hours was it shooting continually for the whole night?
Yeah, I don't recall, but I guess it must have been. How much footage would it have been?
There were tons of, I remember canning out tons and tons of stacks of film about that. 2 or 3 stacks that I-16 morning.
All right, so that's a lot of film.
That's
actually.
about 2 stacks, 18 inches.
Yeah, so that's probably
but it was endless.
3 or 4 hours, I guess, of material.
Yeah.
Or more, must have been more.
More, because it started, actually we photographed seriously from 7:30 until about 2:30, and then we laid to for about 45 minutes while we got another camera.
Right.
And then we shot straight through till dawn. So that's a lot of footage.
Right here in the center, please.
Yeah. How did your mother and Carl know Jason, and how old was Jason at that time?
How did your mother and Carl know Jason, and how old was Jason at the time the film was made?
I don't know how old Jason. He looks like he's in his 40s, right?
About 44.
To be 34 in his bio for the film, but he was 44.
Yeah.
Right. He claimed his birthday was 1934, and he was actually born in 24.
Yeah. They all lied about their age then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carl, I don't know, it was it's a small world, and Carl, was an actor and around for a long time, and, they're talking about Carmen as Carmen McRae, and I'm just trying to think of the other people.
Dinah, they're talking about.
I'm thinking it's Dinah Washington, but, they were just everybody, it's not a big world, and in New York it really isn't, so, they were friends. And we really did hang out. I mean, I just remember, Jason being around a lot, a lot.
Right here in the front, please.
Yeah, I was at a Flaherty one of the seminars. Is anybody here when they showed it? It was a very interesting moment because before it was shown, Pearl Bowser, who's a very important Black his film historian, who's done really amazing work in bringing a lot of hitherto unknown Black directors into the fore.
Right there, please.
Well, I'm not familiar with her body of work. Did she ever go on to interview or do another movie that was so specific to one person in this way?
No. Partly this film was made because she had made 2 features before this, a bunch of short films, dance films. She began as a dancer and then made dance films and then sort of documentaries and then these 2 feature films, and went out to Hollywood and was teaching and trying to make films and, you know, getting scripts, and nobody would fund it. And it was really depressing. I mean, it was really difficult. And I think she got the idea for this, and this was something that she could do herself, and she didn't have to, she could produce it herself. It was an idea that she had, you know, and she really wanted to make more films. So this was a film that, you know, that was just, you know, a sort of obvious thing for her to do. And she made, after this, one more film that was a documentary about Ornette Coleman, and she had been filming him for 25 years, so she had all this footage from, you know, way back, and did a really, really interesting, you know, film. Again, all her films are way ahead of their times, and I don't know what it's like for you to see it now, you know, but you know, the film was shot in 1966. That's a long time ago. You know, and how it affected people then and how it affects people now, I think is really interesting, and want to hear from you, you know, like how it affects, what's current about it, what's, you know, how has the world changed? I mean, those are things that I think are interesting. I don't know, you know, because I'm used to it, so I can't tell, you know, but you know, whatever your reactions are, I think, you know, are really, I mean, I'd be interested in.
Right. Take one in the back, please.
Well, just an observation. Listening to him, the gay lingo, Miss Thing, and the finger snaps. You can go down on Christopher Street and see young black gay boys who weren't even born doing the exact same thing, using the same terminology, etc. So that's what's pretty amazing to me, at almost 50 years later.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is.
We're unfortunately about out of time, but we'd love to continue the conversation. We have another show. We have to get going. We can continue the conversation in the lobby. I want to thank Wendy and Bob and Jim so much for coming down. Thank you all for being here.
Oh, yeah.